welcome to the Inspired Riding Podcast. I'm your host, Beth Lauren Parrish. As a certified riding instructor, remote coach, and animal communicator, I bridge the gap between your inner and outer worlds as you strive to enhance all aspects of your riding. I'm here to remind you that you are powerful and more than capable of changing your reality with your horse time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inspired Riding interview series. Let's all take a nice deep breath together first. Let's breathe in, breathe out, relax your shoulders. You can put your hands over your heart if you like. Sending tons of love to all of you. And I'm so excited to introduce you to one of my dear friends who I used to actually board with and work under at her facility. Her name is Jenna Traeger, and she has Emerald Hill Eventing. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And we've got lots of fun questions for her from the Inspired Riding Connection group, as well as the main questions. So I just wanted to first, thank you again, Jenna, for being here. And if you want to just introduce yourself just a little and tell us where you're from and what you love to do with your horses.
Sure. Yeah, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me. So I'm a 3-day eventing trainer and coach. So I teach horses and riders in the sport of 3-day eventing. So that's dressage and stadium jumping and everybody's favorite phase that does the sport, which is the cross country, where you get to gallop literally across country over jumps and into water and over ditches, and it's so much fun. So yeah, I take green horses and teach them up through levels, seasoned horses. We compete and train. I also take care of all of the horses that are in my charge. So all of the feeding and, so I have a really solid connection with all of them and all of the riders as well. Everyone takes multiple lessons a week, and then I do, training rides, and it's a very small group, but a very, very tight knit. We're like a family. So it's cool. I love what I do. I'm so grateful that I get to have that as my life.
I love that you get to do what you love. It's awesome.
Yeah. I'm very fortunate.
So we're going to start with a fun question. If I handed you $10 million right now, what would be the first thing you would do?
The very first thing I would do is panic. A lot of money. And then the second thing I would do is, figure out which organizations 95% of that I want to give to. That, in my personal opinion, is too much money for one person. So, I would definitely want to give back to the sport of eventing. They're doing a lot with frangible technology, but we need the funds to, continue developing the science. It makes the sport safer for the horses and riders so that the fences actually come down with the.
I just got chills from that. That would be amazing.
Yeah. And they've already been, raising tons of money. I think they've raised over $500,000, but I would give, several million of that and be like, okay, we're going to totally, make this 100% safe. And
love that idea.
I would want to donate to any, thoroughbred rehabilitation programs for, off the track thoroughbreds. It would be also a really cool dream of mine to open a equine spa. They have them. They're they have, where they swim the horses, and they have the aqua treadmills, and it's rehabbing and muscle building for performance horses. it's really cool. I had one of my horses went to Equicare in is it in Lampasas in Texas for a while, and like they love it. They love doing the swimming, and they've got like the treadmill thing, and
Does it take them a little while to get used to the swimming?
they actually pick up on it pretty fast.
Okay.
Like water that they come into that's like chest high, and it's got like a treadmill thing, and then they go on that, and then they've got like this like dry treadmill that can do the incline, and they have a blast on that, and they have like the laser red light therapy and the magna wave therapy, and just I think that for high performance horses, they need extra support, and being able to offer that would just be like such an incredible experience, and they love it too, and it helps with the horse's fitness, and it's also helps with their longevity, because if they're in the water, that's less strain on the joints, but helps with the fitness. So yeah, that would be cool.
Love that. That's a really fun thing to do. Maybe we can add that to my big facility. You can come run it.
There you go. We would probably have a house, with tons of like rescue cats too. My wife and I like love cats. So you would have like a giant cat rescue kind of a thing.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Oh, my friend Jenna said something similar. So that would be a good,
yeah, we could join forces.
Connect with. I love it.
Love the kitty cats. We have 7 at home.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
A large amount, but they found us. We didn't intend to have 7 cats, but they're, we don't have kids, we have cats, and they bring so much joy.
They're wonderful.
Yeah, yes. It's a lot of cleaning. It's kind of like having a zoo.
Yeah, I would think so. So besides taking care of all the horses, then you also have the cats. So
yeah. Fortunately, Maddie helps a lot with the
good
with the kitties, but yep.
Nice. And you have the one dog, Giovanni, right?
Yes. Yep. The one dog, the one lone doggalo.
And does he get along with the cats?
He does. Yeah.
Nice.
Sure, he does. Yep.
And does he still come to the barn and hang out with the horses?
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Definitely. His favorite part about going to the barn is just seeing all of the people.
Oh, because they adore him, I'm sure.
Yeah. And he has his one barn cat friend.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's cute.
I love it. Can you tell us about how you started riding and what that experience was like for you?
So I was born obsessed with horses, and I mean obsessed. And my parents had no idea where it came from, because we lived in Austin, in the suburbs basically. So but yeah, horse was like, as soon as I could start talking, that's all I could talk about, was just horses. I never wanted to play with dolls or everything was always horses, Breyer horses, My Little Ponies, just thoroughly obsessed. So I think the first time that I was finally allowed to be set on a horse and do a pony ride, I must have been 2. And I remember being really small and being on the horse, and just that feeling of the walk was just such an incredible, it was the most amazing experience, just total euphoria being on the back of a horse. And I always wanted to ride the tallest one, biggest one.
That's awesome.
My dad would take me to this place called Kitty Acres, and it was where they had kind of some little carnival ride deals, but they also had a retirement program for horses, which is actually a really cool thing. I'll add that to what I do with my 10 million, was, these older horses, and they only worked 1 day a week. They hung out in a big pasture the rest of the time. And then they'd have their one day that they would come in and hang out and lead little kids around.
Oh, so cute.
But and I would cry when my ride was over, and my dad, you'd have to pry me off of that horse.
I'm here now.
Yeah. So, and then I started taking, riding lessons when I was 4, which was basically like glorified pony rides.
Right.
And then I got my first pony when I was 6, and she was very naughty, and her name was Ginger. She was very kind to me. But and then my first horse was a chestnut mare, named Foxy. And at the time I didn't know, because I was only 9, but I'm sure she had either back soreness or hind end issues or something, but she would buck frequently after jumps. But I did learn how to stay on.
Yeah.
And she was a good girl. She took care of me. And then it just kind of took off from there. My first off the track horse I got when I was 12, and he was actually a quarter horse, appendix, race quarter horse. I'll talk more about him later in the interview, but he was like, had they had eventing back then when I had that horse, we would have loved that sport. But unfortunately I was stuck doing hunter jumpers growing up. And I say unfortunately, because it's just not a very, no offense to anybody that does that sport, but it's not the most, at least where I grew up, the most wholesome environment. Horses were not put first, so what it's like now, I mean, it's so cool to have the bond that I have with the horses and the riding, and we're just constantly learning.
That's just it. And that's what makes the best horse people out there, is when you're open to continually evolve and grow.
Yes. And I have to say, I love so much about inspired riding, about the connection and the listening to the horse and the intuition side of it, because that is huge. If you can really connect while you're riding, it opens up so many doors.
Totally does. Yeah, at this point, I don't know what it would be like without it anymore, because I feel like we're just talking all the time. But I think about now, when I was younger, and it was just this horse, you're just going to do it. And there was no conversation. It was just me being taught to dominate. And and now it's like, I can never do that anymore. It's like a total shift. But we do have conversations like, okay, you can make some decisions, I'll make some decisions. It'll be a together thing. You don't get to make all the decisions all the time, because otherwise he'd pull me back to the tiring after 2 minutes after every ride.
Exactly. I mean, what we're asking them to do is not natural, right? I mean, they would like to be in their herd and eating and roaming, miles and miles. But the compromise is important. I have a horse that's new to my program that's a coming 5-year-old off the track thoroughbred, beautiful black, 17 hands. And our compromise today was he was allowed to go as fast as he wanted to go in the gait that we were in. We wasn't allowed to like flat out gallop, but I got to decide where we went.
Nice.
And then eventually he relaxed and went at a more normal pace. But, being a thoroughbred, you have to let them be forward. You have to go forward. And that's how their mind will start to relax. So I wasn't, the last thing I was going to do was tell him what speed his feet could go.
Try to bottle him up. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we did have to go where I wanted to go. And I did listen to him about the areas of the arena that were spooky. So we waited until we were feeling good about it to go down to the scary side. And then by the end of it, he was stretching with his head down, trotting beautifully. I mean, that horse is going to be a showstopper. He's a tremendous.
Exciting.
I'm so excited for that.
What's his name?
His name is Poe.
Poe?
Yep.
I like it.
His show name's going to be Telltale Heart.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So fun. Are there any life lessons that horses have taught you?
I think pretty much 90% of my life lessons horses have taught me. Gratitude and humility being the top 2. With horses, you have to appreciate, when the times are good. You've got to, every little moment, and even if it feels like you're not making progress, like you are. And, when the times are, when you're in that flow state, and appreciate that. And then humility, there's really not a whole lot of room for ego with horse human partnership. I don't say humility and being humiliated. I say it in like being humble.
Right.
Horses are very humbling. And patience. Patience, a lot of patience when training horses, and people too.
Oh, yes.
But horses have taught me probably all of the patience that I have, because I'm not naturally a very patient person. So
I totally get that. And I think actually that was something Jenna had talked about. We were mentioning about that. And it's not necessarily that it's that you're not patient. It's just that you're so excited about stuff.
Right.
You can't wait for it,
Right.
Because that's what happens, especially with horse people. Like, we want to get to the good stuff.
Yeah. But there's where you come in with the gratitude part of it.
Exactly.
Appreciate the process.
Totally.
Appreciate, like I've got this other young thoroughbred that I picked up off the track back in September, named Tommy, and we couldn't steer when I first got him.
Oh my gosh.
And so just like now we can do circles, and it's like the most amazing thing. I mean, being able to do like a figure 8 on him is just as thrilling as like jumping a 1.15 meter, 20 course on my seasoned training horse.
Totally.
It's so cool.
Every little moment is a win. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. The right lead canter, he's getting it. I'm so proud of him.
We used to call, was it like Indiana Jones in the quest for the left lead or something like that?
Well, with the thoroughbreds that have raced, the only time that they're asked to do a right lead canter is out of the lead change going down the backstretch.
Right.
So they're not picking it up from a trot. And then when they do pick it up, oftentimes they'll then want to kind of book it, because they'll swap, down the backside and then haul ass, to the finish line.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Now I think about the physics of it. Yep.
Yeah. So Tommy was like, "Oh, we don't run after I can not run. Wow. Like, this is so cool." I was like, yeah, it can be that easy.
I love that. It's so cool when they have those light bulb moments too.
Yes. I love that. And with the riders as well. That's so exciting. Oh, yeah. And when they both get it together, it's so cool.
Angels singing.
Yes. Exactly.
I love it. So yeah, we're talking about all these horses. Have you had a heart horse? And if so, what made them special?
So I probably had a lot of heart horses.
Yeah.
But my first like heart horse was my first off the track horse, that quarter horse that I got when I was 12. His name was Jet, and he was out of a Easy Jet line. And his race name was Easily Uno, which I should have kept, but being a kid, I was like, that's such a cool name now. But and he actually did win his maiden race, but he must have had an accident in the starting gate or something, because the top of his withers were kind of smushed, and he had like one of his cheekbones was kind of smushed. But man, I did everything on that horse, and everything. We would ride over to my friend's house, because she had like kind of a big backyard, and take off all the tack and take off our shoes and our helmet, because we were dumb kids and no one was watching us, because this was like 90s. and just go as fast as our horses could go. And that horse, he took care of me, man. We would jump just random stuff that we could find, picnic tables and rock walls, and Oh, he was just a saint, that horse. And we didn't really have eventing in Central Texas as a kid, so we never got to do that sport, and that's what we really would have excelled at.
Sounds like you kind of did it on the side there.
Yeah, we did. Exactly. And I took him swimming. Oh, that was so incredible.
Oh, wow.
The first time I ever rode him, actually, we went out on this like trail, and there was like jumps, and we were like, he was kind of taking off with me, and we were just jumping jumps, and I was just holding on. And I thought this was like the best, coolest thing I'd ever done in my entire life. He'd been sitting for 3 months, and then and the lady that owned him at the time was either stupid enough or ballsy enough to just throw me up there and away we went. Oh, but yeah, I loved that horse. He was really something. Yeah.
So cool. How did you get into eventing then?
How did I get into eventing? That's a good question. Well, I know that I had heard about it when I had that horse, because the woman that I got him from had done it in a different part of the country. And I was like, that is so cool. I have to do that. But, we didn't really have the internet back then, so I couldn't really find anyone that did it. And it just didn't exist in Central Texas, and few and far between in Area 5, which is our area. So I want to say it wasn't until I was in my mid-20s that I kind of started to feel it out a little bit and go in like cross country school. And but I didn't get like seriously into the sport really until the last like 4 or 5 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's right. Yep. Yeah. Because when you were at my barn, I wasn't even fully doing, like I was kind of doing some, but now we're doing USCAs, and we went to the national championships last year, and
that was so cool.
Yeah. It was really cool. I left Kentucky.
It looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So Sunshine wanted to know, I'd love to know where to start. The baby basics, how to get the horse to love it, and how we get in shape mentally and physically. There's a lot of questions there, but
yeah. Okay. So let's see. How to get started from the beginning. I mean, there's the way you would get started with anything. Eventing has, even before you would, go to an event, just kind of get your feet wet with, doing some little jumping, trail riding, is your horse safe to ride outside of the arena? You don't have to go very fast at the lower levels, but you do want to feel safe, walk, trot, and canter out in the open for the cross country. And the dressage phase in the beginning is pretty simple as well. You want to make sure that you can make a 20-meter circle at walk, trot, and canter. And then stadium jumping, the courses are fairly simple at the lower levels. You won't have any related distances. So, you won't have to worry about, one jump and then, 5 strides later, another one. They tend to be kind of flowing. So that you want to feel comfortable being able to jump about like 2 foot, and then at the lowest level, I think the fences are like 18 inches. But you want to make sure that you feel safe jumping bigger than that, so that when you go to the competition, you don't feel overwhelmed.
Yes, totally. That's pretty much what I've learned. Anything you want to do in competition, you should be at least one level at home higher training that. So that way, when you get to the competition, it's not as hard.
Yeah. And if you're wanting to just like not compete, but just, ride for funsies and do the 3 level, the 3 phases for funsies, again, it's going to be the same thing, like, riding out in the open for the cross country, doing, some little jumps, riding in a dressage arena and doing some, basic transitions, walk, trot, canter, free walk, and how to have your horse enjoy it. Start slow. You cannot screw up a horse by going too slow, but you certainly can by going too fast. So, you can even just walk over. Definitely start with just a single pole on the ground, just walking over poles and a clump of poles, then, like a little log, you can walk and, walk, trot, and canter over, the little poles and clump of poles, and then just slowly build it from there. I would recommend jumping in an arena first if you're learning to jump, rather than out in the open and just with some, teeny tiny cross rails and, little verticals, and that you and your horse feel in control and in balance. And I certainly would recommend riding for the jumping with some kind of eyes on the ground, whether it's a friend that has more experience, or, if you find a riding instructor that you drive with, because there's a lot that can kind of be going on that, you can't see it because you're on the horse, with the, timing and being in a good balance and so forth.
For instance, we'd have her husband right there with the phone, and I'd coach her there, just so that we'd be there with her just in case.
Yeah.
You always want to have at least one other person when you're jumping.
Yes.
That's my thought.
Yes. Yeah. And for safety reasons too, right? But and then the horses, not all of them are going to be just a natural ability jumpers, but you introduce it to them slowly, as long as they don't have any soundness or pain related issues. A lot of times they really enjoy it, and they'll let you know. They'll let you know if they like it or not. If they're getting antsy and tense and that kind of thing. You'll be able to tell. And
her horse in particular will aim for the poles because he gets excited. He's like, let's do it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
Really cool.
Yeah, and I was going to say too is, being excited and being forward is different than being tense and nervous. So being able to tell the difference between those two. And then what were the other? I forget what the other questions were.
How to get into shape mentally and physically.
So to get in shape physically, cardio, however you want to do cardio, and wall sits. Wall sits and squats are your best friend. And Pilates and yoga is a good, kind of body awareness, which is important. And then mentally, I would do, what you've talked to everybody about, Beth, where you do it mentally first.
Visualize it.
Visualize it. Yep. Absolutely. That's huge. Yep.
And all the meditations I've got will help with that too. So
yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you. All right. So this kind of is a very same idea. This is Lisa. Her question was how to evaluate your horse if they're physically suited to jumping. She has horses that are 15 and 16 this year. She'd most likely only jump recreationally. There's a small event course locally that has a very reasonable ride and that she can do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, like I just said, pretty much any horse can jump over a 2-foot obstacle. Even like massive Belgian draft horses can get themselves over a 2 foot. But
you just go walking over.
Yeah, exactly. But what you want to make sure of is that they don't have any underlying soundness issues that could create pain from jumping. So make sure that they don't have any hoof soreness or hoof issues or any front limb issues for that matter, old tendon or ligament strain, suspensory, anything like that. As long as you're not doing tons of it, I wouldn't worry too much about hind end arthritis. All horses at that age are going to have some kind of arthritis, but what they say, motion is lotion.
Yeah.
And if they have a good canter, because a jump is an extension of the canter. So if they're really comfortable in the canter and they enjoy cantering, they're probably going to enjoy jumping. If they don't like the canter or they're not very balanced in the canter, I would say, to work on the canter to be more balanced, or just maybe jumping isn't that horse's thing to do.
Also work on the adjustability at the canter. I think that's another huge thing.
Yeah.
So once you have your balanced, steady canter, see if you can open it up and collect it.
Yeah.
Accordion exercise.
Yes.
And then that's how you know you're really going to have more impulsion for the jump too, which will help.
Right.
So,
right. Exactly. Well, and that's such a good strength training exercise as well.
Yes.
They've got to have their backs up and really carry themselves and the rider. So, and too, if you have that, you can control your horse for jumping.
Exactly. You don't want to just be like bending their spine around and then they get all hollow and you're like, yeah, this isn't working.
Yeah.
That was the technical term. Yeah.
I like it.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for that. Let me just see real quick. There's a couple more. I know we're running closer to overtime here, but you don't mind keep to go.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Cool.
Yep, I'm done for the day.
All right. So Gemma, this is so cute. She says, so jumping for any other reason than a path and obstacle that we can't go around is a concept wholly foreign to me, and I'm in awe of those who do it. So I'd be interested to hear why eventing, and in what ways does it ignite the soul? How does the body feel while flying?
I love this question. So, I would say that her and most horses, I mean, there's sport horses that are bred to jump and it's kind of just like naturally in them, but they have that same thought. Why jump it if I can go around it? That's why, training them to jump is so critical for them to enjoy the sport, that you do it correctly. But why I love eventing is because that is the ultimate partnership. You have the 3 phases, but the cross country, it takes 100% trust on your horse, has to trust you 100%, and you have to trust your horse 100%. And that partnership is just, it's incredible. I mean, it's just, it's so fun. What's more fun than galloping and jumping? and the horses love it, it's like all of my horses that make good eventers are, like me, they're adrenaline junkies, and their ears are just perked the entire time, and they're, hunting for the next fence. And, you can't control everything on cross country. Like upper level dressage and show jumping can kind of lend itself a little bit to kind of micromanaging, and being very precise and precision on all of that. But on cross country, the horse, they know their body and their abilities and better than I do. So it's my job to keep us safe by being in a good balance and a good rhythm, and present the horse with a good line to the jump. And it's the horse's job where they take off, how they take off, how they jump. So it's this total like give and take. It's not, every footfall, the horse is in charge of his feet. And, there's a lot of slipping the reins and just sitting back and just letting go. And you just let the horse, and it's such an incredible partnership. And the other reason why I love the sport is the community. I mean, you have to have, really good horsemanship and, good work ethic to be in the sport. It's not like some of the other sports where, they'll, like for show jumping and 100 jumpers, for instance, at the higher levels, they're not the ones grooming the horse or cleaning the stalls or doing the feeding, or, they get on and off and hand the horse off to a groom and not in eventing. And you can't just buy your way into the sport. Like, you have to have that partnership. And it creates such an awesome breed of people that are so supportive and encouraging. There's not any, this like kind of cattiness or politics. Upper level riders will help you if you're, in the warm up struggling. Like, there's no like hierarchy. It's the best sport in the world, in my opinion.
I have to agree. The camaraderie was amazing. Even in my little green as grass event that I went to, I felt so supported for my first event. And I didn't know these people, and they were just so kind. And that was huge. And I was like, wow, this is very different from, the little equitation classes I used to do as a kid. Yeah. So I was like, I like this, Yeah, that was amazing. And then what does it feel like to fly over a fence?
Oh, yeah. It's exhilarating, but it's also like, it's like almost like stillness, if that makes sense. Like, you're in like that flow state when you're really doing it. And, and that happens in show jumping as well. Like when you're just like in the air, and it's kind of like it's, you've left the ground, and, it was a good takeoff spot, and you and your horse are like in the air, and you're, you can like relax in that moment. And it's just like total like stillness, like a Zen moment.
Everything goes away except for being in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's just you and your horse, and you're just in the air, and it's like time just kind of stops for a moment.
It's brilliant. Even with my little jumps, I jumped much bigger as a child, and I loved it. And I'm like, I'm cool with the 2 foot. We're good.
Yeah, you know what? You do you. There's no ego. You don't. No one should ever feel pushed like they need to do more. And then,
so true.
There's nothing wrong with sticking with what you and your horse are comfortable at. It does not need to be a competition of how far you can go. If you're having the most fun, like my wife likes to say, if whoever's having the most fun is the winner.
Oh yeah, I love that. She's very wise. Yeah. So cool. Okay, let's see. Jenna says, I'd like to hear how you cross train for your own fitness, and what is it about what you do that makes you want to get out of bed every day and say, wow, I get to do this?
So I don't do enough cross training for myself. Because I haven't had the time lately, with feeding and the riding and stuff. But swimming was huge for me.
Oh, nice.
I really want to get back into swimming again, because it was so good for my cardio. But I have some joints that have had some wear and tear, and so running isn't really a thing I can do anymore with my knees. But swimming, was so good for my body and for my mind too. It's like, so, nice, that still quiet place, being in the water. So I want to get back to that, but I would, recommend for anybody, cardio is huge. So you have stamina to be able to keep up with your horse, and, strength training, the wall sits are really good for the jumping.
I think it was it Jim Wofford's book? Is that how you say his name? Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, Wofford.
And he said the first part of his book was the exercises. He goes, okay, go to the wall sit. Now stay there. See how long you can stay there. Haha. It was like it was something like that didn't last long, did it?
So my strength training is like lifting hay and alfalfa, and
And how many horses do you care for?
Well, 7 right now.
Okay.
And I ride all 7 of them, not every day.
That's a fair amount.
5 a day, 4 or 5 a day, except for on Sundays. So
how many lessons do you teach as well?
Well, so I don't do public lessons. It's just the students that have those horses. So if I ride 4, then I would have 2 two people. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a full day.
Yeah. And the horses get fed 3 times a day. And yeah.
Oh,
So
same here. That's cool. Yeah, my vet says the more meals, the better. So
yeah,
yeah.
definitely. But yeah, let's see what gets me out of bed in the morning. The first thing is going to be the cats because they're hungry. And then the second thing would be, I'm a morning person, and it feels good to get up in the morning and like go to the barn. It's like quiet and, feed everybody and check in with everybody. And just, it's a great way to kind of just ease into my day. Yeah, I feel very fortunate, very privileged and blessed that I get up every morning and do what I do.
It's amazing. It's a beautiful life. And I'm so glad that you have such fun horses and clients to work with.
Yes, I have amazing clients and horses. And speaking of heart horses, everybody that's with me, their horse is their heart horse.
Oh,
it's so cool.
That's awesome.
So cool. Yeah.
Maybe you should have create like a heart-shaped emerald for everyone or something.
Right.
I don't know. That just randomly came in. To go with the emerald pill.
Right. With a heart over the Pegasus logo or something.
That's cool. Are you taking any more clients now, or are you pretty full? Or?
I would say I'm pretty full just because I'd have to hire somebody to help with the feeding and the tacking and the untacking. And I have had people work for me, many times in the past. But right now it feels good to be doing it myself, especially while there's a transition with the ownership and the management at the barn. So I really like being there with the horses, and it further increases, I guess, the bond that I have with all of them,
Totally.
feeding them and being the one that's handling them and, doing all of the things. So yeah, I mean, at some point I'm sure that I'll take on more, but for right now, I think this is perfect.
That's good. I'm so glad. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I have one last question for you. Actually, 2. One is there anything else you'd like to share that I didn't ask you?
I guess the way to go fast is to go slow with horses. Like what this group is very familiar with, learning to, listen and trust your horse. Yeah. And the other thing I would say is, if you're curious about eventing, we always need volunteers. So if you just look up, you could go to useventing.org or for the US, or maybe just Google search, because there's like schooling shows for different areas. Like for us, it's the Greater Houston Combined Training Association.
Okay.
And our sport is the most expensive to put on with the cheapest entries because of volunteers. So we always need people to like sit at the jumps and, on cross country and radio in that everybody, makes it over their jumps, and,
yes,
help jump crew in the stadium. In the dressage, they're always looking for scribes and score runners. So if you're a scribe, it's very cool because you get to like sit next to the judge and then write.
You learn so much that way, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. So that's such a great way to see if the sport is something that you're interested in, to learn about it. And it's a lot of fun volunteering. It's like I said, eventers are just good people. It's such a like welcoming, inclusive environment. So yeah.
Love it. Okay, so last question. If you could put a billboard up for the entire horse world, what would it say?
So I would say for the entire horse world, like industry,
Mhm.
I would say the horse must come first. Unfortunately, that's not often the case in industry. If you're talking about, a lot of maybe not so much in eventing, but in some of the other elite sports, and racing and
Yeah.
you know,
Racing's a whole other bag. Yeah.
it seems like money comes first and other things, people, and and then the horse is not. So like the horse must come first, because what we ask them to do is absolutely incredible, and the fact that they let us do what we do with them is a huge privilege.
In fact, they let us sit on them is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you really think about it, and nothing makes me crazier than when you hear things like, the horse is like here to like be a service to humans. Like that makes me so mad, because they're not. It's a privilege. So
It really is.
and then like what I would say to maybe because this group, that's already the case. Everyone here is putting their horses first. So I would say maybe for this group, say to learn to practice stillness in the midst of chaos. Our horses are always looking for us to guide them and be their leader. And if we're able to be ground and find stillness when they're uncomfortable or upset, or if there's lots of busy things going on, like right now there's construction at my barn, so I'm having to and I say practice, because it is a practice, and it's not something that you could ever fully perfect. So it's something that I've been really working on a lot myself. So
Yeah, I'm so proud of you. And you've given me awesome feedback for my journal and the Focus app with the meditation. So I really appreciate you doing that.
Oh, yes, I love it.
So cool. Well, I'm going to create a billboard with both of those statements on there for you. So.
Yeah.
Because I think they're equally important for all horse people. So
right. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, this has been so fun.
This was awesome. You took the words out of my mouth. Thank you, Jenna. But it was great to catch up with you, and
yes.
Hopefully I can have you on again, and maybe even chat with my private group. So that would be really fun.
Yep. Cool. Anytime. I loved it. I was looking forward to this for weeks.
Yay, so good. Me too. And I just want to thank you again for being here. And just remember, everyone, to lead with kindness for yourself and for your horse. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And may the horse be with you always.